Hello. Today we are on our second part of our six-part series of ERPNext. So we just on summary yesterday we have finished basic installation of ERPNext 14 on Ubuntu 22 plus, and we have explained how to do it on Ubuntu 20 plus and all the basics up to we started running it like a bench start. We did that. Then today we are going to do it's in production mode. Today we will do it in a production mode, and in the next video, maybe tomorrow or day after, just we will do let's encrypt HTTPS, DNS, and all stuffs. And in the fourth video, we will do a single server. On the single server, we will do multiple instances of ERPNext, not multiple, multiple sites and that kind of things with the multiple TCP ports and all. Then on the fifth video, we will do cron, email domain, backup, etc. Then on the sixth, the most important part, how to secure server with on 3 levels on the cloud, on the Linux, and on the Frappe level. So we will do. So today we are going to do in the production mode. So where we stopped yesterday? Yesterday we stopped with bench start. So we'll start. So here we have installed it yesterday. Bench started, right? So this is where we stopped yesterday. So once we started the bench, we got to know that it's running on port number 8000. So let's see, it's running on port number 8000. That is, I'll just try to open the Firefox. v14.erp./8000 HTTP. So it's running on HTTP. Should be. Don't know, some mess up happened between. No. Okay, it's running there. I didn't make any configuration and all. So that's not part of this one. So it's running on port number 8000. So why actually, I mean, can't we just stop here and run it and every user can use it? I mean, that's a logical question, right? Why we are thinking about the other sections like in production mode and let's encrypt and other things? Why can't we just stop here and learn it? Because look, here we can just go there, put the administrator and do whatever you can do on ERPNext. You can just do it, right? You can, but there is on this phase we have to do a little bit theory, maybe 5-minute theory, a little more than that. I will try to explain why we need it. So Frappe basically is a framework. Let's put it here as a framework. Frappe is a framework. You know, other frameworks like Flask and all. Frappe is a framework. But Frappe has something called bench, and it has its own minor HTTP server. It runs like in Flask also. You can run a little bit, but it can be used for development and testing and all because it doesn't have the mechanism to manage multiple traffic, multiple instances, HTTPS offloading, and that kind of things. This is just a Frappe server. And when you see it here, I just run Frappe bench as a command. And even this, if you put an at sign here, it may run on the background, but that you don't know the branch is running, or if for some reason if it crashes, how to handle it. I mean, there are so many when you are a professional, when you're running a professional server, there are so many things that you need to manage. It's not like just you develop something put it on the net and everybody using it. It will not happen like that. Minor things like it crashes or multiple instances, how to handle it, how to put the process on queue, that type of things that you need to handle. So this bench start, it will not work. We need to run it professionally. So there are certain components that we need to understand how it is working. So I'll just explain what are the components. The component one first, that is supervisor. There is something called supervisor. Supervisor. My handwriting is bad and my pen is even more bad. I mean, it's worse. So just it's supervisor. There is supervisor. What the supervisor do? Supervisor. What the supervisor do? The name, as the name suggests, supervisor just do supervision. It does supervision. So why Frappe needs Frappe or Frappe, whatever you say, needs a supervision? Just let's look into that. Well, we need supervisor. If you remember before, there are so many services. What we used to do to run a service in the background, we used to do RC dot. I mean, these are the things. Just you need to. We used to do RC.D and init.d and this type of stuff, and it will run as a service in the backend. That's fine. Actually, you can run a service in the backend. So in Frappe, it's not like that. I mean, when you are starting, when you are using a service, it will manage all of the related stuffs like running in the background. If there's a crash, how to handle it, and running the connections and all of that thing, supervisor will manage this. So let's put it supervisor there. And the supervisor, it's actually it's basically it's called process control. So it's just a process controller. All the processes related to Frappe will be controlled by supervisor. That's what the first thing. Now there is another one, Gunicorn. Gunicorn. Really don't know how all of these things pronunciation. So, but this is, I just say Gunicorn. It's actually green unicorn. Gunicorn, somebody say it's Gunicorn. Let's say it like that. Gunicorn. So why we need Gunicorn? Because this one, if Frappe is controlling, Frappe is taking the connection directly, it will serialize. You know how it's serializing. There is somebody try to access your site. Somebody says a connection happened, then the next one will be on a queue. The next one will be another queue. So there will be a lot of queue. And if there is no Gunicorn, if you are just using the Frappe branch, it will all in a queue, and it will eventually slow down the system, and system will crash because it doesn't know how to handle it. But Gunicorn, it will handle all the process, and it will send it. It will take all the process, and it will manage the processes to Frappe. The difference between supervisor and Gunicorn, supervisor is managing the Frappe process itself as a service, as a program and all. Gunicorn, it will send the traffic to Frappe in a sophisticated way. I'll put it like that. So then what happens? This Gunicorn is not the only component. We will talk about one more component here. That is Nginx. Okay, we call it Nginx, and the pronunciation is Nginx. Somebody say Nginx or something. All of these components it's not easy to pronounce for me. So it's Nginx. Nginx is the web server. If you remember before, there was something called Apache. There was something Apache before. Apache. That was the most popular server. Now it is Nginx. And it's almost Frappe decided to use Nginx, not Apache. It's a reverse proxy. if what is reverse proxy? Reverse proxy is it's what is proxy? Proxy is you collect some data or some pictures or content from the web and keep it in a computer uh, in an office, and then each computers, it will not go to internet, it will rather take from the proxy. That was the concept of proxy long time before. Reverse proxy is actually there is Frappe, and from internet there is Nginx. So if somebody accessing internet, so it will take from Frappe the data from Frappe and the content from Frappe, but it will keep something here. It will keep most of it here. So from the next request, it will go from here, from the reverse proxy. It's called reverse proxy. But this reverse proxy concept is not that much because everything is dynamic now. There is no static unless there are some pictures or something. There is no static. The concept of reverse proxy or the proxy itself is not very much important now. But there is something that is very important, that how to handle an internet traffic. It need a web server. So something coming from the internet. So this is the internet. So the traffic coming from your PC through the internet needs to be handled on Nginx. So this Nginx, it will take all the traffic. It will do this. The traffic nowadays coming on HTTPS. HTTP is done already. So it's something, there should be something called SSL offloading or SSL termination. Offloading or termination, SSL termination. There are different words that they are using. SSL termination, if there is an HTTPS traffic coming to the Nginx, okay, then before sending it to HTTPS coming here, and before sending it to the Frappe, it convert into HTTP. Okay, the traffic. So the difference is S, that is actually security certificate. That certificate will be installed on HTX, and the traffic, this is an encrypted traffic. Remove the encryption here, send the plain traffic to Frappe. So the load will be handled here, not here. So that's the concept of Nginx. Okay. So from the outside, if the traffic come, it will go to Nginx, and Nginx will send it to Gunicorn, and it will send to Frappe. That's the concept, and all this process will be managed by a supervisor. This is the production environment. One more component I will tell you, but it's already used in the system before the production itself. That is actually Redis. 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 Okay. Redis server is actually, because Frappe is a framework and its database is MySQL. MySQL or MariaDB nowadays. It's recently changed the name. So Frappe, before it's what it will do, when it's taking the data from MySQL, the most frequent data, it will be stored here. So it need not go, because let's say if you want to, if a query take 100 milliseconds to get it from MySQL, from Redis it will take 1 millisecond, because it's already there in the memory. This is in the hard disk, it's in the memory. Like some data like user information, user permission, and all of that, it will be in the Redis itself. So what happened? It will be stored here. So it will take from here. So it will make a significant it's a very significant performance booster. This is Redis. So this all servers has to be running in the production environment. Then only you will get an optimum performance. Otherwise, what we have finished in the last session, it will just do a development branch, a testing branch. Okay. So after this, we need to do HTTPS Let's Encrypt. That's in the next session. So this is what we have to do today. It's not that complicated as I said it, but this is if you don't understand it, in case of any error and troubleshooting, you will not get the concept. And There are steps. I will let me see where we are now. Okay, so here we have, okay, on the production mode we have a document. Like whenever we are doing a YouTube video, it's an explain. The commands are here, so you can just go there. So I will there is we need to install Nginx, Nginx and Supervisor first, and we will do the configuration. I'll come to that. So I just stop the bench, and I will just install it here. I'll do root because versions are some permission. I'll just put it here. I'm installing Nginx and Supervisor. Okay, these are the two components. This is I mentioned here Nginx and Supervisor. Gunicorn I'll show you what's Gunicorn, and Redis also we have already installed. I'll just show you all of these things. So now what I have explained here, this is if you want. So there is a supervisor settings. So this is the main supervisor. I'll go to that folder. That will be here in the etc supervisor. This is the main supervisor folder. There are inside that, like usual, there is a configuration folder, and the basic configuration is here supervisor.com. It's in Ubuntu, and in CentOS minor differences are there. So here there are some processes. You can see these processes. The ownership of these processes, we have to change it to our proper process. So otherwise, there will be difficulties when you are running it. So here I put the command. Here this you need to add it inside, and I mentioned here Unix HTTP server and supervisor D. Here supervisor D Unix. I think this control also you need to put it. But okay, if that's required, I will change in the document. Like I always say, don't depend the video, because we cannot correct the video. We will correct the document. So if there is any more steps required, I'll just correct it on the document. So video, then it may be outdated after some time, but document we get all the feedback from you guys, and we update depending on that. So now I go to here on our user. Okay, then I will go to our bench folder. Then there is a step. This is a wrapper step. This one, bench setup supervisor and bench setup Linux, Nginx. These two are because creating supervisor file and creating Nginx file, it need some skills. When you see that, you will understand. And Frappe already, I mean, the bench is already doing that. So you don't need to work very hard for this. I'll show you this. So this, okay, here you can see the bench is running on port number 18. So here it creates two files. This one, it creates two files here in the config. There is a config folder for in the Frappe. And here you can see some configuration files. There is a Nginx, Redis, and where is that? Supervisor conf. Just keeping it here, there is no point, because all this service, so I mean, all the supervisor configuration file should be in the etc folder, and this also in the ect folder. Keeping it here, it doesn't work that way. So what you need to do, you need to create a link between that folder show you where it is created. I create two links. So if you go back to that etc folder, etc Nginx configuration folder. Here you can see one called proper bench. And if you go to the supervisor, here you can see this is actually a link. So if you know what is the soft link and all, this is you can see this file is actually a link. This file is actually a link to the file that we have it in the proper folder, proper config folder. So this is I'm sure that you guys know what is soft link in the Linux or hard link or soft link or whatever in the Linux. I'm sure you know that. So we have it here. So if you, I told you that this configuration you need some details. For example, if you see that here, you see that here, it's a very long. I mean, it's a hell lot of file. Okay, so Frappe is configuring for you. Otherwise, you will be really struggling. This is actually it's a very big configuration file. One of the huge one I have ever worked with. So see here. So if you look at here, why I brought you here, because see here, this is the crux of the matter. See here a command. This supervisor basically it's doing a lot of things, a lot of things, but the fundamental thing is there is there's a folder in our bench folder. There is a bin and there is Gunicorn. I explained you what Gunicorn is doing. Gunicorn, what is doing? What is doing is our. You remember first we put the entire thing on port number 8000. Yes, right. So here it is. So this supervisor file, you remember this? There is a supervisor, there is a Gunicorn. So supervisor is actually controlling. So what it's doing, this is a supervisor file. It is saying what it's doing, it connect to Gunicorn and it's run on port number 8000. And it needs some other parameters like workers, because in Gunicorn it's something called worker and master. Worker means how many connections it's connecting same time. Worker is the one monitoring it. Actually, a worker you can have if you have two core, you can have it 8 plus 1 9 worker. That kind of things there are some calculations are also there. So this what basically it's doing. So supervisor file is like, so when you are running supervisor, if you want to check it whether supervisor is running or not, supervisor itself is a service. I just forgot to supervisor and Nginx all services. See here, you can put it supervisor status. So it's once you put the new configuration file there, you can just restart it. Once you restart it, you will see you can telnet localhost 8000. Uh, no, start status. This is the method for testing the status. When you are testing, when you run this command, supervisor status, you will see here active and it is running. So it's the thing. So then it will say which port it's running and all kind of information is there. So, but if you need further into that, I'm not going, but supervisor, there is a command called supervisor CTL. Supervisor CTL, where is it? There's a command that you will get all the information, how many processes happening, what is happening. This type of, if you need into that, much into that, you can get that information from supervisor control and all. So when supervisor is running, if you telnet into localhost 8000, you will see this port is opening. But from outside, no, The security part will come because we don't need to allow people to access directly into this 8,000 because it will bypass effectively. It will bypass Nginx server, and it will bypass HTTPS encryption and everything. So we should not allow from outside to access port number 8,000. That is on the sixth part, I guess. We'll do it on the sixth session. That is how to protect it. Now I'm not explaining that, but it is running. This supervisor is running it. Okay. Now what about Nginx? So let me see. So it is also running. So if it's running, if it this is running, so right now it's running here. So what is there? What happens there? It is it should be on port number 80. So now what is status? We have a Nginx running and supervisor running, and supervisor is accessing everything through. Okay, when I try to restart, because after the configuration setup, when I try to restart Nginx, Nginx, it's failed. You can see it's failed. There is a failure. Actually, if it's not failing, there is an error code also. It's failing. So if you want to get the details, you can just go there and get why it is failed. What did I do? Okay, this is doing something terribly wrong. This one, service status. I'll put service status. Status. If you see, it's failed. You can see it's failed. So if the service status failed, there should be a reason. That reason here is you need to find it from the log. So here, mhm, you can see it here. There is a log, and in that log, it said unload log format main in this configuration file. So there is a problem here. You may face it, but eventually it will go. So this the error message. This the error message. This is actually there is something called a log format that I will show you. I think okay, here there is something called main format. There is a log format called main. Where is that? Where is that? Where is that? Yeah, there is a log format called main here. It's actually a login thing. So this main format is not there in the main file. So what I will do, I will add it here. So don't worry about this thing, this step, because I have already written on the, because this error is it's quite normal. I put it in the footnote what to do. So you can just add it here. I put it here, the which file, the main configuration file, and it's in the HTTP thing. So I'm using VIM editor, so I think most of you are using the same. So here, now, oh, I need to sudo permission for that. I'll just put sudo and put it on the HTTP. Now I added the log main format in the main. So I'll just try to restart once again. Let's see whether it's working or not. Nginx restart, right? Okay, it's done. I mean, it's without any issue, it started. So here it's again, this is active. So now both Nginx and Supervisor are active, and it is Nginx which port it's working. So it should be. So here you can see it here on the Frappe branch. It is working on. Here it's working on port number 80. Port number 80. I am just removing this. This is IPv6 because my hosting provider is not supporting IPv6. I don't know who is supporting. I mean it now, but the provision is there. But I'm not using it. I'm only using IP version 4, not 6. So it's just I put it here. Now it's not SSL until now. There is no certificate and all. I'll just restart it once again. Again, before that, I just want to mention something here. There is two files you need to remove it from the site. Why? The reason is there will be a conflict here. And if you ever work with the Nginx, there are two sites. By default, it will open. Even without anything, even without Frappe or something, it's just will open like this is a test site, something like that. That file is still there. It will make a conflict. So I will show you where it is. Sites available. There is a default site here. The sites available. This is a folder, and here you can see. Oh, so you can see a site is running here, and it's on the port number 80. So there is a conflict here, and there is another one. Sites enabled. So here also there is a site information. This also on the port number 80. And even, I mean, now, even you are not running Frappe on 80 or 443 or whatever, this is not required there because it's against the security, because everyone in the world, all the hackers knows that there are standard configuration there on the Nginx, so they can try to attack through that. So you just remove that two files, and don't give a chance to any hackers, and don't give a chance to any conflict. So I need to add a sudo here. Okay, I remove that two files. Now it should be perfect to go. So if I restart this, so now we have supervisor service and make sudo for this. Okay, now let's see here what is happening. You see the site is again coming. Oh, it's not coming. So we need some troubleshooting in this stage. HTTP. Oh, it's not 8,000. I'm sorry. It's not 8,000. It is standard port. So again, it came. Our site come. It's actually HTTP and default port. You don't need to mention here. You don't need to mention here with a colon. 80. It's by default it will take 80. So it is there. So site is here. Site is up. We are not running bench start or something. In the first session, we were just running a development site. Now it is handled everywhere. Like if you put supervisor control, you can see the process related to Frappe. And if you put Redis, oh, you can put the commands here for the supervisor. Or if you put Redis CLI, you can see here what are all the I mean there are commands which I'm not going to explain you here, but there are commands. It's now basically what happens in this session. Before in the last session, it was directly when we were directly hitting on the Frappe. Now it is from outside. It is coming to Nginx and it's going to be Gunicorn, then Frappe, then Redis server, then MySQL. So it's very properly handling. You will not see any crash, even you run it for 1 year or 2 year without any restarting, without anything, and you can have multiple users using it same time, and the supervisor will be controlling all of it. So that's the anything I missed. Okay, so I in the documentation you can see at the end you can change this developer mode, because that that's not very much into this, because in on the site file there is whatever our site is there. On the sites you can see it on our site. There is a site configuration file. Here you need to add, if you are not in development mode, this will determine whether you are in developer mode or. So here you can just add this line here, put a comma, unless you are in the last. On the last line you don't need to put a comma, but the other lines you need to have it. So here, if it's 0, that means it's not in development mode. If it's 1, that means it's in developer mode. And after that, just restart the supervisor, because if you make any changes in the prop, just restart supervisor. Even you are doing any changes in the Python also, you need to restart. So now it is it's complete in the production mode. So that's thing that anything I left on this. So about unknown log format, I said it later. Service status, it's restarted and we are running it on that. Now we have completed the production, not completed. We have completed part of the production mode, because if you want to finish it, we have to have an HTTPS certificate, a proper DNS, a certbot file to renew the certificate automatically, HTTPS, and we need to know about the certificate, all of these things. So the item number 3, the next video release will be in item number, all of these things, let's encrypt, DNS, certbot, HTTPS certificate, and all of that. So that we will do in the next video. So, if you subscribe and if you are following us on Twitter or something, we will update there when we are releasing it. Okay. Thanks for joining. Appreciate all of you spending few minutes with me. Thank you. Appreciate that.